Welcome back to Style of Play Football with myself, Theo, and Basil. Episode 46. How you doing, Basil?
I'm doing good. It looks like it's the two lads whose teams have had defeat 2
Show up or show out. Show up or show out, man. You know them ones.
Apart from that, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So no complaints.
Yeah, no, good. It's good to hear, man. And yeah, you're right, man. We shouldn't even be the ones here. We should be ones that are late to the podcast, but we're early.
Imagine, yeah.
We're early. We're on time. We're here. We're here to
Imagine
take our.
Koja's team finally gets what, a victory in like 4 matches or something like that, and he's
Yeah,
he's not even
exactly, man.
here.
And he can't
He's
be
not even
prepared,
here.
man. We're gonna get onto him. We're gonna grill him when he comes on. But thank you for everyone that's joining the live stream. If you're here live, if you're watching after the live stream as well, make sure you subscribe, you like this video, you leave some comments as well in the description below. And yeah, you share your thoughts about match day 8 of the Premier League. Some really good fixtures, really good results, depending on who you support. But yeah, let's do the Arsenal game first. Let's get
Okay,
Arsenal out
okay.
of there. Let's get Arsenal out of the way. You're here. You're here. You're the Arsenal
I do
fan.
know it's the best. It's the best time because Koja's not here right now.
Oh,
So.
he'll bring it up. Don't worry. He'll be bringing it back up. But yeah, let's not start with the red card because I do want to talk about that separately because it was obviously a massive
Yeah.
talking point throughout the game afterwards. But it was a surprise because I think you've got a really good record at the Vitality, if I remember correctly. You know, you go there, you normally pick up 3 points and come back to London. But even, yeah, it was a really difficult game for Arsenal. What went wrong for them?
Do you know, it's a number of things, and it's the things I've always highlighted as to why Arsenal sometimes can't win a league or won't win a league under Arteta. And I've always said this. There's a number of factors. There's games where you need individual brilliance and people who can kind of just win you games. And you kind of saw it a bit in the Liverpool Chelsea game, where obviously Salah scores the penalty, but then creates the second goals. Those moments, I don't think we have that. The way Arsenal set up is the team functions with the strategy that Arteta sets up. When it doesn't work, there is no plan B. There is no alternative. And that's sometimes the issue Arsenal have. And also the players buying into that. Because players, you don't really have players really stand up and make themselves counted at Arsenal. It always seems to be a team effort.
Yeah.
And I think this was one of those games where they've gone down to 10 men. You just need someone to stand up and be counted. And we don't have that. Secondly, is the strategy. Arteta, I've always complained, has one style of play. And you can't just have one style of play or one style of setup. You need to be able to kind of differentiate things a bit. Yes, obviously, we need to take in consideration that we go down to 10 men. But I've always said this, if this is a City, if this is even a Liverpool, I think they still come out here and maybe claim 3 points. I said exactly the same thing when we drew against Brighton, that with these teams, if they go down to 10 men, they still look threatening. They still look like they can claim the 3 points. When we went down to 10 men, we did not look like we were going to claim the 3 points. We did not. We barely created any chances, and it also there's a lot of things I want to highlight. There's also another thing. Like I said, I've always said this: Declan Rice, right? And I've always maintained the same. I think he's a good player, but that is about it. For me, I
Yeah.
think he's probably one
Yeah.
of the most overrated midfielders in world football.
You
People
know why
talk
though?
about.
You know why?
Go on.
English. He's English.
Yeah, 100%. People, I remember people when we spent 105 million on him. People saying, "Oh, give West Ham more money. It's a great deal." Blah blah blah. He's one of the best. I'm like, but he has limitations to his game, and you can see where Arteta's trying to play him. For me, he's a great defensive midfielder, one who will mop up, play the simple passes. I've always said doesn't have the range of passing and is not going to win you games. And I argued when we paid for him, I would rather spend 105 million on two players who can
Yeah.
impact the game more rather than one because it
One.
eats into your budget.
Yeah.
I've always said Declan Rice won't win you games. He won't affect games when it's like a nil-nil or maybe you need a winner because he's not that type of player. And these are the games where if you spend 105 million on a player, he needs to stand up and be counted. And unfortunately, it's not in his locker. And I remember when we signed him, one of my friends said to me, "Oh, but he's young, he's got to improve." I said, "No, at that age, you know what you are, you know what facets you have in your game. Yes, you're not going to add to that because
No.
your development years will be between 18 and 23, 24. By then, we've seen what Declan Rice is about. There is no change in his game. And that's one thing I like to highlight about our midfield. There was no creativity in our midfield whatsoever. And what this match boils down to is what I've complained about, our summer signings. I don't think Arsenal. I think Arsenal didn't do well in the transfer market. We didn't strengthen adequately, and we got rid of players, so we lack depth, which is why when we're chasing a game or we need a winner, we can't bring on the subs that we don't have game changers to
Yeah.
change the game for us. There's a starting 11 and a starting 12. When that doesn't work out, there's nothing else, and that goes down to the manager and boils down to Eddie. I'm sorry, Edu. I've always said Arsenal for me are not serious about winning anything, because if they were, they would have seen how close they were in the past 2 seasons, gone out and done a far better business in the transfer market than what they've done so far, and all of that is starting to catch up with Arsenal. But I've always said this: if you kind of nullify Arsenal and how they play, there's nothing else after that. And for me, that's why I'm not confident Arsenal will win anything this season, because I don't see where the improvements are from last season. Personally,
So it goes back to what we said,
we're basically trying to win trophies with the same squad, which
yeah,
for me is just insanity.
and that's what we said when we done the Arsenal preview at the start of the
Yeah,
season, was that there isn't anything that's improved this squad to take.
yeah.
This is why I always think Arteta will never win the Premier League with Arsenal. He might do, but I don't see it, because he hasn't improved the squad, and I don't mean him in terms of coaching, not just like you said, Edu as well. There's no improvements. There's nothing that you can see. All right, we're on the right trajectory now. We're on the right path here. I just don't see it personally. I don't see how. I don't see it. I really don't see, like wait, let me bring Mr. Late into the chat.
Smiley.
Who is? All right, let's drop him in. He's here. He's here. Yeah, no, I don't see anyone that's listening on the audio version. Kojo's just decided to turn up.
He must have
give
decided to turn up, you know.
yeah, we'll
I
give him.
gave this guy a disclaimer at the same time. I just walked into the building.
Kojo, we just finished Arsenal, so
No, we're still talking. We're still talking Arsenal.
talking.
We're still talking Arsenal. We're still talking Arsenal. But I don't see anything that Arteta can do else with this squad now. You know, bringing in Sterling, I don't think that's a good bit of business when you look back. Even I think when I said it when you signed him, I don't think that was the guy you needed to go and get. I still think a striker is needed.
the thing is, Theo, right? You can tell, like, he doesn't trust Sterling because he's
Yeah.
barely giving him in the game time. So then it makes me question, why bring him in the first place?
Do you reckon it's just experience, though? Do you reckon it's more like experience, what he's done at City and Chelsea? And
It's been how many months now? And obviously, Sterling didn't go to the tournament. He was back. You could see the videos. He was at the Chelsea ground training and getting ready for the season. So for me, it isn't a fitness issue, because this is someone who put in the hard work during pre-season to get himself ready for the season, so it's ready. And this is my issue with Arteta. Like, there's a number of fallacies with Arteta. One, he doesn't trust his squad, which for me is one of my biggest frustrations. You complain, like, trust your squad, trust the players you have. It's always the same players all the time. And then obviously you're expecting these fringe players to come in and perform, and it's like, how can they perform when you don't trust them
Yep.
and they can't develop a rhythm? Secondly, he does not trust youth whatsoever. Does not trust youth. What people talk about Wanieri and Miles Skelly, he doesn't trust youth.
Yep.
It's his like, he doesn't have the philosophy of embedding youth, and that's the reason why when Charlie Partino comes up with his comments during the week, I'm like, it's true. He comes out and he says, "Oh, there was no pathway. I spoke to the manager and there was no clear pathway for me, which is why I left." And I'm like, I absolutely believe them, because it's one of the criticisms Arteta has in terms of he doesn't know how to use his youth. He doesn't know how to use it.
just going on to that red card incident, because it was a weird. I still am on the fence with this one, even more so because of the Tossen similarities in terms of the Liverpool game. But Trossard plays the ball back towards his own goal, and it's Saliba, and I can't remember who the Bournemouth player is, but
It was
is
Evan
Nielsen, and he brings him down. Now I'm not certain this is a red card. You know, what's your thoughts?
The thing about it, I don't think, obviously it's a subjective view, so I don't think that the biggest issue is VAR with this one, is not the refereeing decision.
Well, he gave a
Because,
yellow.
one, I don't.
He gives a yellow at first, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I say VAR is the issue. Because for me, it's like I don't think it's a red card. I think one, they're so far away from goal that I don't think it's a goal scoring opportunity. Secondly, Ben White is there to cover because
Yeah.
ultimately, if Nilsson has to bring the ball in towards goal, and Ben White will be bearing across to get across him. It's not as if like he has to run straight with the ball, which is why I thought, oh, it's not a red. I thought the ref got it correct, giving him a yellow card at first. Now
Exactly.
my biggest issue is but the issue is this: even if the ref gives him a red, I probably might not have had complaints. 'Cause I'm like, it's a subjective view. If the referee views it as a red, then I hold my hands and say, okay, it's a red. I'm not too mad at the decision. My only issue I have is that VAR got involved, and they've said beforehand the threshold. I think in terms of overturning referee decisions, or they used the phrase. I think they didn't want to re-referee. That was the phrase at the beginning of the season.
So like the clear and
If it's
obvious
not, if it's
mistakes.
yeah, if it's not clear and obvious. So I looked and I thought, but that's not clear and obvious.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
times where it's clear and obvious and you don't intervene. And that was my issue in terms of, hold on, why have you asked him to go back to re-review his decision when it's not a clear and obvious error? Because it clearly wasn't. And then also referees reviewed it, given the red card. I'm like, okay, it is what it is. My issue is the fact VAR told him intervened, stating it's a clear and obvious error. And then you look at what happened at the Chelsea game, is exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. There's no
Inconsistent.
difference. And that's my issue,
Yeah,
inconsistencies.
yeah.
But obviously, I'm not too mad at it being a red card because I'm like, it's a subjective decision. Referees can. I would have given it a yellow personally.
Yeah,
Because I think
100%.
he's so far away from goal, and obviously Ben White would have enough time to kind of get across to impact him at least. But it is what it is. I'm not, like I said, I didn't really complain too much already. I'm just like, it is what it is. I just have an issue with the inconsistencies with VAR. That's where my gripe is.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Kojo, what do you think? Because I can see you smiling over there. You're looking happy.
This sounds like more Arsenal. It sounds like more Arsenal pain, man. You know what I mean? Now look, it's all about interpretation of the law. So, from when I saw it at first, I thought, okay, goal scoring opportunity, you're in trouble. Obviously, we know about the double jeopardy. If it's in the box, he gets a yellow card. Then you move on. But when it's outside the box, for some reason they deem that as a red as well. But then looking back, you're talking about the tracking back of players who also might have been available. Also something to consider when a footballer is running with the football or trying to even get control of the football, gives players time to sort of almost try and get back. The funny thing that made me laugh was Arsenal fans were posting videos of Ben White chasing Leroy Sané. Leroy Sané, whose knees have been shot for the last 5 years, so it's not as fast as he used to be. But no, I think I do think it's a red. I'm not going to sit on the fence. I do think it's a red because I do think it was the last man. I understand the analysis from, I think it was Dean Ashton.
Does he stop a goal scoring opportunity though? Is there? I mean, there's an opportunity. David Raya can come out and he can.
Yeah. So that's how I saw it the first time, because he's definitely, if Saliba doesn't make that challenge, it's 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. I do understand the analysis. I think it was Dean Ashton who said that. Oh, you have to consider, has he actually got the ball under control? That's a fair argument to make. And if he hasn't, the yellow card would be appropriate. Just at that moment in time, I do believe, and I'm going to stand by it. I could be very wrong, and that's fine. But that's fine. That it was a red card. I think it's more to do with.
Coach, I was going to say this quickly, and that's because obviously I don't have a problem with even people saying it's yellow, people saying it's red, because as you said, it is subjective and interpretation. Because like I say, even like it was a red card, I had zero complaints. I'm like, you know what, it is what it is. Some might interpret it yellow and some might interpret it red. And I think going back to what you said, I don't think there's a wrong or right decision. Is, as you said, it just depends on how someone interprets it.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that as well. What I think, if I'm being honest, I think if Arsenal are to appeal this, they'll probably win.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's a red card, man. I don't think it's a red. I think the fact that the referee has been told to go to the screen has convinced him, and obviously he's got someone in his ear telling him, "Look, you've made the wrong, you gave him the wrong colour card there." But if that's the ref's choice, this is what we talk about: refereeing the game again. Like, you can't do that. Yeah. And the inconsistencies are very clear now. I didn't watch the Wolves City game, but I know that Gary O'Neill is now in trouble. He's now being asked to
Clarify comments.
explain his comments after the game, which he's well within his rights to talk about. He's right, you know. Do you want to take on a big man or do you want to take on a little man? I want to take on the little man.
This is what I feel. This is what I say. Like, even managers and clubs need to take a stand against the FA.
Yeah,
And for me, the
100%.
way I'll take a stand, I'll just say, I'm not paying no fines to you. You can fine
Yeah.
me, but you're not receiving no money from me.
Yeah.
If people need to take seated bans, because ultimately it's ridiculous that these refs can be as inconsistent. They can give the worst performance ever. You can't say anything. And as I said, it's like, oh, you need to clarify comments or come to our office.
You can't question the corruption.
Can't
But
question, yeah. What kind of an institution is that?
yeah, it's
What
crazy.
kind of an institution is that? But I think clubs need to band together and take a stand and say, you know what? If you call us up or you say you give it, like, we're not paying the fines. Do what you need to do. We're not paying. We're green as a collective. We're not paying no fines. We're not bowing down to you until we have a discussion as to how we can openly talk about the issues we have with refereeing in this country.
Well, even the Forest chairman has been banned from stadiums, and Nuno Espirito Santos was in the stands last night for Forest as well against Palace. So it even goes to show, even if you talk out, they still punish you anyway. But I think more needs to be done collectively, like you said, Basil. That there needs to be more collectively done by the clubs to stand up to the FA, because until they do that, the FA is always going to be the winner, always. Let's quickly talk before we move on from Arsenal. Let's talk about the goals, because I thought the first goal, the set piece, it was brilliant from Bournemouth. We have to credit them for that.
That was class.
Really good goal. Little flick on from Cliver as well. Christie, I think, scored the goal. Brilliant bit. Considering Arsenal are known for the set pieces and all the rest of it, for them to score that goal was brilliant. And the penalty, David Raya didn't have his best days on Saturday, Kojo. Final word with you two. I'll go with Kojo first. Really good result for Bournemouth. Really good goals from them as well.
Yeah, well, look, the set piece thing about Arsenal is if you can't beat them in the air, which is obviously their strength, then you got to find another way around. And it was a very smart, low ground kind of corner. I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it, to the point where Ryan Christie felt to be like Jude Bellingham and do celebration. That was fantastic. And then just the penalty in general was penalty. There's no question about that. Evan Nelson had a great game. He led the line so well, so well. What I will say, just because I jumped in when you guys were talking about confidence in the squad, Arteta signs players to improve the first 11. I don't think he really thinks about what he has options coming off the bench. When Arsenal were getting points out of nowhere through goals like Reece Nelson and all that, you can look at the team and say, Reece Nelson ain't going to be here in a year or two. And lo and behold, he's not even here in less than a year. Yeah, I mean, that's what he does. I think he looks to build the first team 11 and he doesn't really go past that. And because he doesn't go past that, he presents Arsenal with a problem. So now that Saliba's out, the question is, okay, do you play Timber there, Calafiori? What's he going to go for? We don't know. But these are the kind of decisions that will cost you in-game. And not only that, his approach, you need to think about it as well. I'm not saying his approach is bad, because obviously Arsenal have had good form in the last year, 2 years. I'm not trying to say that, there's something that needs major tweaking. But in a situation where you're away from home, a player doesn't make an unfortunate pass, but it just immediately leaves your team with just one defender back, and leads to a record. It's a bit of a structure issue. So I understand being confident, I understand where it's control the game, I understand where it's being possession, but you got to have at least 2 or 3 players there with him just in case. It's good to have 8 players going forward and having 3 at the back, or rather 7 players, not counting the goalkeeper in that situation. But good win for Bournemouth, much needed, and proving that this left after Solanke as well. Everyone else has started well. He hasn't scored that many goals, but it's a new league. He's doing all right, man. Proud.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for instance, going off what Kojo was saying quickly. Funny enough, I was listening to TalkSport a bit just as I was driving, and also they were saying, it hurt Arsenal a lot because it had key players missing, and they mentioned Saka, Odegaard, and they said Martinelli too, because I don't think Martinelli didn't start. Saying, they've lost their creative players. But I'm like, hold on. City don't have De Bruyne. City don't have Rodri.
Yeah.
And they're finding ways. Liverpool didn't start with
McAllister.
Diaz,
McAllister was on the bench.
McAllister was on the bench. Like I said, who are like their most informed players, and obviously the manager still found a way to rotate and bring.
So next, you can't use that as an excuse.
You can't use that. Curtis Jones, like I said, doesn't always start, but he came in and put in a great performance against Chelsea, and that's what you need: managers who can trust their squad, work with all of them and say, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter if it's a big game. I trust and I believe in you
Yeah.
to put in a performance. And you see how these players come and perform. Matheus Nunes, once for City, barely played, but he can come in
Even
and put in a
Savinho.
shift. And perform. There you go, Savinho too. And like I said, when it comes to Arsenal, people try to use the excuse, oh, they've lost, so they got to lost Saka. Those are two players. Two players. Your squad should be more than two players.
Yeah.
And so that goes against Arsenal. Bournemouth once again were fantastic on the day. Those two, the first goal was fantastically worked, fantastic finish too, and then the second goal was just Arsenal all over the place. And and once again it goes back to trusting players. Kivior was once playing well at left back, went out to the cold, and then he comes in. And funny enough, the two games he has come in as a sub, he hasn't looked good whatsoever.
Yeah,
and that comes with that comes with how for me how the treatment of a man. No, the treatment of players by manager. It doesn't seem like Arteta seems to be treating players who are not playing regularly very well, because when they come on, there isn't a confidence in them. Whereas you look at teams with won things, whether it's Ferguson, even Wenger at the times, even bringing these fringe players and they look like they want to perform. They look like they want to enjoy playing for the club and achieve things. I don't get that with Arteta, which is something that he needs to work on and rectify, because you only win trophies with a squad, not with a starting 11 or 12.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It'd be interesting to see how it unfolds for Arsenal. Big game next weekend against Liverpool.
I honestly, personally, let me say this now. I think Liverpool will win that game. That's my opinion. I think Liverpool will win that game.
The way that they're playing, I mean, let's move over to Liverpool, Chelsea. The way that they're playing, and like you just said, Basil, even without their, couple of players missing, Diaz, McAllister, Alisson wasn't in goal on Sunday as well. That's a big chunk of the team that they're missing. And I know a lot of people will say that Chelsea played well, and I agree with that to an extent. But I said before the game, was on Damon's he's got his new Liverpool channels on there, and I said to them, like, defensively is where we're going to lose this game. I said it's a cliche, it sounds obvious, but defensively, the mistakes we make at the back will cost us that game on Sunday, and it did. You saw it with Sanchez, you see it with the two centre backs in Colwell, Tosun. Malo Gusto on the left just didn't. It didn't make sense to play Reece James in that game on Sunday because he's come back from a long-term injury. I understand it to an extent because Gusto's probably a bit more defensively better than Renato Vega in a left-back capacity to kind of deal with Mo Salah. But taking Gusto from that right nullified what Noni Madueke was able to do on the right side. Reece James tried, but you could tell that he's coming back, in my opinion, from a long-term injury. Gusto was getting forward too much, which then exposed Colwell. He was left to do too much.
There's times I've seen Gusto in midfield at times. I was so confused.
Yeah. Well, he was. And even one of the things that they pointed out on Monday Night Football yesterday, which I didn't even pick up on, was that Sancho was literally man marking Trent Alexander-Arnold. So when Trent was running into midfield, so was Sancho. That was taking Sancho away from his role, which meant that Gusto was then having space to run into. But because Liverpool are so good on the counter-attack, there was an opportunity, I think it was Mo Salah or Levi Colwell, there was a 1v1 race between the two of them. The little trip from Colwell as Salah was coming into the penalty box, which potentially should have been a penalty. Yeah. That just showed how well Liverpool, one kick, one long ball over the top, and they're through in on goal. And defensively, Sanchez is not... I can't even talk about that guy right now, but he's just not a goalkeeper that he's not the standard of goalkeeper that we need at that club, because he looks scared to receive the ball and he's already thinking of getting rid of the ball before he's received it, and that panics the centre backs, it panics the full-backs. So credit to Curtis Jones played well. We have to credit Liverpool, they played well. Curtis Jones done really, really well in that midfield. I was impressed with Trent. I think he didn't need to get us forward as much, but the defensive side of things that he did was good in terms of trying to occupy the space that Sancho, who got hooked at half time because he wasn't able to get through and create chances. I would have kept Lavia on. I didn't really understand the Enzo Fernandez sub as well. Didn't get that. Jackson took his goal really well. Was impressed with the goal. He's starting to look a bit more as a striker now. I still would have played in Nkunku because I think we needed someone that was a bit more, going to do a bit more work those defenders of Liverpool a bit more, and I think he would have done that. But that's just a personal opinion. But Kojo, I'm going to come to you first. What did you think about the Liverpool Chelsea game, and was it a fair result?
It's a fair result, maybe because they played better than you, but
You think they play better than us?
no. When I say that, as in they showed a bit more attacking impetus than you when they were in attacking positions. That gives them the edge when it comes to winning the game. But I can't stop thinking about that second goal. I know defensively it was poor defensively, but Curtis Jones' first touch invited Sanchez to close him down quickly.
No,
So
he never. He was the other way around. He
was.
Sanchez was too slow to come out the goal to close him down.
Well,
And that was the problem.
what I was going to allude. That's what I was going to allude to. He didn't even react.
Yeah.
I said at the beginning of the season that I understand that maybe Petrovic might not be the best, but I think it's a better solution than Sanchez. And Sanchez is just not. If he didn't show confidence in the first time he was number one, how are we having confidence in him to be the manager, the guy now? He's not. These guys are going to cost you, man.
No, you're right. I said that.
They're going to cost you big time. And then, the Gusto thing. I mean, me and you spoke about that briefly. A player's in form at right back. Now, Reece James hasn't played football in how long? And you're bringing him against Liverpool. Forget any opponent can be dangerous on their day, but this is a big game. It's a big game. And he's definitely going to be off the pace because he's just not been playing football.
Yeah.
And playing him there and not playing Vega, who has been fit, who has been having some minutes here and there, so it is more of a viable option. It's a more common sense decision. Hell, I would even forgive him if he put Cole left back again, just because, we've seen that before. But to play Gusto there just didn't make any sort of sense. It was baffling. And these kind of things are costing you the game. And that's what Liverpool feed off. You know what I mean? That you scored the goal and you can immediately sense after the score, you could see that there was just like a lack of discipline. But maybe it's because of like a position, not knowing where you want to put people. The substitution of Lavia baffled me. It's all these things that will cost you games. I know Maresca he's not a bad coach. He started the season well, but it's these small errors that he needs to watch out for. Because maybe he could have done that in the Championship with Leicester when it's coming up, but not in the Premier League, which obviously when you're trying to get back into European spots, the higher European spots. Yeah. So, but yeah, Sanchez is. The game finished, and I didn't think, oh wow, Liverpool done it again. I was thinking Sanchez done it again. I just zero confidence in him. Zero. I just don't think he's right at all.
Yeah, he's not a good goalkeeper at all. Basil, I want to ask you about the penalty incidents. There was two. I think let's talk about the Jadon Sancho, Trent Alexander-Arnold one first. There was a small stamp on the foot from Trent on Sancho. I don't think it was even looked at. It was looked at on VAR, but it was quickly washed away. The Levi Colwell and Curtis Jones one, I get why it was a penalty, because look, he kicks through the player to get the ball. Yeah. So I kind of see it, but Curtis Jones does adjust his body a little bit. So by the time he's done that, Levi Colwell's foot's already ready to kick the ball. Was that the right choice, the right decision, for both of those? Was it right to not give the Sancho one, but to give the Curtis Jones one?
So strange. The Curtis Jones one. No, go on, Coach.
The free. There was free, slightly. Which the other one, Sanchez again, but I think that was the right decision.
Yeah. I mean, I would say this. Yeah, I was going to say the Curtis Jones one, the first where Colwell kicks in, I think that's a penalty, definitely. I think there's also the one Colwell and Salah. I think that's a penalty too.
Yeah, that is.
I don't agree.
100%.
No, it's a pen. That's a pen.
I don't agree.
Yeah,
I don't agree.
Fair enough. And then the last one, but I think they were right to overturn. They were right to overturn the Curtis Jones on Sanchez one where he goes over him. I think they were right to overturn that one.
I don't know. I think that's a pen as well. I think that's a penalty.
Which one?
Okay, fair enough.
The Sanchez and Curtis Jones one.
The one. Yeah.
No.
Baffled me. Yeah.
He got lucky. He got lucky because he just about hit his leg, but no, I can't give that as penalty.
You wouldn't give that as a pen?
And same as Coach, I didn't think it was a pen.
If that was Sterling running through on goal, or if it was flipping Bruno Fernandes, and that happens, you'd be annoyed that wasn't given a penalty. No, you would, because like, to
No,
me,
that's natural. That's natural at first, but when we saw the angles, I was like, okay,
Yeah, when
he has
I-
got the ball.
yeah.
Like it's very clumsy. Goalkeeping. It's only
slightly gets the ball though. The ball's there because he wipes out the player. Do you know what I mean?
Slightly is enough, bro. Sometimes slightly is enough.
Yeah, I
I'd
agree.
be
No,
mad if that was the other way around. If that was the other way around, I want that as a penalty all day.
Of course you would, but that's the name of the game, isn't it?
No, but here, once again, referee decision. The criminal one for me was how on earth the Trent one on Sancho was on Sancho, right?
Yeah.
How on earth that was not even given a how on earth that was even like the referee wasn't sent to the monitor for that because he's
It's a penalty.
stamped on it. It's a clear penalty. I mean, it's clear as day. It's clearly stamped on him.
And do you know what the
Has
funny
not
thing
won
is?
any part of the ball, and they haven't asked him to at least look at the monitor. That
They
for me was
got
the
they
most
got a
baffling
penalty.
decision.
They got a penalty like that last season at Anfield, Liverpool versus Chelsea. Very similar.
Honest, I couldn't be because obviously I'm just like, well, if it's like a 50-50 chance he gets pardonable, but he doesn't. He basically stamped on his leg, then takes the ball after he's done it. So I'm like, he hasn't. There's no challenge for the ball there. So I don't, for me, that for me was the most baffling thing ever as to how that was looked at and then decided, oh, no further, no further action. Honestly, these referees need to come out and explain these decisions.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, it's crazy. It is crazy. I think it goes back to the point of what we said when we talk about Arsenal, the inconsistencies from the refs and all the rest of it. And I feel sometimes the pressure of the occasion gets to some of these referees because, and maybe that's what Gary O'Neill was trying to get to in his
But
comments.
should it? But Theo,
No,
I
it
can
shouldn't.
understand
Shouldn't.
I can understand the on-field referee because obviously it's moving fast, so he has to
Yeah,
make
but
a
you got a
snap.
VAR room that should be
But
controlling that
VAR,
for you.
I've got, and Theo, this is the part that annoys me the most. Right, I'm not a referee. You're not a referee. Cody's not. I'm telling you, we could make these decisions that they're making at VAR.
Easy,
It's not
easy.
for me. For me, it's not technical hard decision. It's common sense decision. If we see that replay, we say, hold on, that looks like that's a foul. Go and check the monitor. At least at a
Yeah.
minimum, go check the monitor. I don't
Yeah.
understand how these guys who are trained and qualified get these things wrong.
Because you could even stop the game, yeah. Go and check the monitor. You could still be right with your on-field
You
decision.
could still be right with yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Do you know
At
what I
a
mean?
minimum, which is what for me, this is why they make it hard for themselves. Because at a minimum, the thing I always say this, you don't need to re-referee the referee. Sometimes you just
Yep.
say go check the monitor.
Just
another
double check.
view,
Yep.
and even if you want to go your decision, it's on you. But the easiest thing is to say, hold on, that's a bit, go and check the monitor. At least as a VAR assistant, that covers you a bit because you're saying like, we've seen it, it looks a bit dodgy, go and check it. We leave the final decision to you. Then
Yep.
no one can say we're re-refereeing. It's still the referee's on-field decision.
Yeah. And I suppose the Sanchez Curtis Jones, the one that was overturned, is a prime example of that because he gives the penalty. Go and check the monitor. You want to double check. There's another angle where you can clearly see he gets a bit of the ball. Although I still think it's a penalty, but
Yeah.
it shows that there's alternative, viewpoints and angles, and it gives the referee a bit of time as well to think and even just go and consult the other officials and say, look, I think it's not a penalty. I think it's a penalty, and they're going like, nah, it's not because clearly he gets a bit of the ball and whatever else. And then that's a clear example of where the VAR, I suppose, works well. But there's too many times and too many occasions where they're getting these things wrong and it's impacting, it's costing games. Players are getting sent off when potentially they shouldn't be. And it changes games. It changes games. And if we're talking about 3 points at the end of the season, where I don't know, the league is there's a City or Liverpool or Arsenal, whoever need 3 points to win the league. Those 3 points that you dropped against Bournemouth or the 3 points we dropped at Anfield could be a difference between getting Champions League football and Europa League football. So they're massive decisions to be messing around with. Kojo, I want to talk about Curtis Jones because I feel like him, Ryan Gravenberch in the middle of that midfield were they stopped Cole Palmer from playing the game that he wanted to play. They basically were, you wouldn't realise that McAllister wasn't in the team. Basically, Curtis Jones just slotted right in. How good were they? They looked amazing.
I think that was the key. I think that's what they were trying to. I think that's what they're trying to do. Have two sort of box-to-box midfielders so they can stop the threat of Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
McAllister, I think, is he better defensively than Curtis? Yeah, no, he is. But
I think he
doesn't have the
Legs.
sort of like the aggression and the stamina to go up and down on the pitch and cause sort of disruption in Chelsea's build-up. So you saw Cole Palmer a lot more deeper than he needed to be. Because I noticed it very late in the game. But during the game, I was watching, like, just saying, Cole Palmer needs to be more forward, needs to be more forward. I didn't realise that Liverpool had set up a way to almost stop that. But then also in possession, be comfortable when they needed to be. It was very smart. It was very smart to pick him, and he justified it. Curtis Jones, he was fantastic. Gravenberch right now is the undroppable midfielder in that team. He's been on form for so long, and he's showing the quality. So the guy that we heard about as a youngster that went to Bayern Munich and it didn't really work out there, we're now seeing his quality come to the table.
Yeah.
We're now seeing his development, and it's very annoying to say, but it's another good signing for Liverpool so far, isn't it? But yeah, no, Curtis Jones definitely earned it, and definitely earned the man of the match as well. That's one of the few times that I've watched Sky Sports or TNT, and they've given someone the man of the match. I'm like, yeah, fair play.
No, it was deserved. Well deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, good performance, man.
All right, let's talk about your lot.
Wait.
Eric Ten saved himself one more week of misery. Eric Ten Hag. Yeah, I mean, it was a difficult game to watch. I'll be honest. I kind of was like, I mean, it was 2-1, but it didn't really feel like a 2-1 game, if that makes sense.
It was boring.
It was a really boring, flat game. What was your thoughts, though? Obviously, Ten Hag still in the job. We thought he was going to get sacked before during the international break. He's clearly kept his job. I would say this has given him another couple of weeks. This win against Brentford, but it was a really flat game, Kojo. What was your thoughts?
Well, he needs to win, didn't he? Simple as that. He needs to win because that's the only way he's going to stay even near this job. The problem is we start games so slowly, and we don't wake up quick enough to deal with the issues. So when they score, we don't. But I'll tell you where the issue is again. I want to keep saying his name. I know people think he's been in like really good, consistent form for the last year and a half or whatever, but Diogo Dalot is a problem.
Yeah.
Diogo Dalot is a big problem. And the reason why I say it's a problem is because in football these days, not these days, it's been for a while now, everyone worries about the in possession. And because he's been good in possession, when they have possession, he's been good on the ball. He gets into the midfield areas because he's inverted, and he's a good extra piece when Man United trying to build up chances, and all that. That's really nice work. But I'll keep saying this forever and ever and ever. If you play as part of a back four or back five, you are a defender, and if you can't defend, you're not doing your job. Time and time again, this guy does not close down players. Time and time again, he loses players that he's supposed to be on. Time and time again.
He was probably at fault for the goal as well. You think about the goal.
He's very much at fault for the goal.
He leaves Ethan Pinnock and lets him run straight into the box, free header into the goal.
So there is a point to be made there. I believe that if De Ligt is not on the side getting treated at that moment in time, then maybe he's the one marking Ethan Pinnock. But at that moment in time, he wasn't. And because he wasn't, Dalot took charge. Now, I don't know how we led to that decision, to be quite frank. I don't know how we got there. But, oh, God. You know what, guys? Just 1 minute. I've just been throwing up on. Fantastic, my time. So, give me a second.
Basil, your turn to take over.
You know what, right? I'll say this. I'll start with the De Ligt incident, which is, I don't understand. Do these people not know the rules? I mean, when Ten Hag is furious, De Ligt is furious.
It's just precautionary.
The rules does not change. If you're bleeding or there's any sign of blood, and you can't. It's rules. You have to come off. Even if it's on your shirt, you change your shirt.
Even if it's dry blood. If it's dry blood, whatever.
If there's blood, they always. It's been the rule since I don't even know how long.
Years.
You come off the pitch. So, and obviously, like I said, the issues with the medics, that was the third time he had to come off. So I'm like, well, I didn't understand why they didn't wrap something on his head after the second time to stop the bleeding. If you don't start the bleeding and it continues 2 more times after, that's on the medics. The referee did the right thing and said, you have to come off and sort it out. So when they're angry and angered by that, I'm like, what are you angry about?
He needs to be angry at his medical team because, like you said, patch him up properly, even if it's just for that. Because I can't remember what point in the game that is. It feels like it was like late into the first half, I think. Just wrap him up till half time. Just make sure you can stop
Wrap
the
him
bleeding.
up, and then you can exactly. So I didn't understand why they didn't start Neil angry. Of course, of course, he has to come off, and then you defend properly. But yeah, Ten Hag. I think I don't know for Manu. The issue I don't understand how they still persist with Ten Hag because it's not about results. It's about the style of play on the pitch. There is no identified style of play
Yeah.
on that pitch, and it's been like that for over a season and a half. It's been like that since the middle of his first season at Manchester
Yep.
United. We
How many
started this
seasons has he
season,
been there?
and
Is this his third season now?
this is his
Fourth,
third. This is third
third.
season. This is third season. I like to. It's been like that since because obviously when he first came, you started to say, okay, I can kind of see what he's trying to do. Very quickly, when the results went, okay, he abandoned it. So since halfway into his first season, we haven't seen a style of play. Last season was horrific. This season
Yeah.
it started the same. So unless you have an identified style of plays, teams see you there for the taking. Because no, you can't control games, you can't defend properly. The attack isn't. There's no synergy in the attack. You're there for the take, and this is why a lot of these teams create so many chances against United
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of that. So it makes me wonder what is he doing with these players in the training ground, and he's just run out of excuses now. He's run. There's no excuse. If he said injuries, he said, "Oh, one or two players missing." He said, "Oh, we need the right players."
He's had it all. He's had the time as
He's tried
well.
it all. Every week I keep hearing from him, we need to stick to the plan. What is the plan? Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. It's always the same thing I hear from him. Like honestly, it's tragic at United. That's the only thing I can really say. It's really tragic.
I think the plan is to literally just wing it and just hope for the best. And I don't mean that in a that sounds really disrespectful, but I think that is generally the plan. Like I think he probably sets them up to play a certain way, but if they concede, you still play that way. And I don't think you can set up you can't set up the same way against every team, if that makes sense. So you have to understand that there's going to be times when you might be playing a low block, or you might be playing a team that's playing a back five, or there might be, I don't know, inverting one of their fullbacks or whatever. You have to understand and prepare for that team, not just your team. And I feel like when I watch United, they just set up the same every game. They set up the same. They might concede the first goal, but they still play the same way. And I think that's why their games are really boring, because they don't apply tactics to that situation that they're in. They just apply the tactics because it's Manchester United. I thought they were quite lucky. They dodged the bullet because obviously a really good ball from, I think it was Rashford to Garnacho. Garnacho scores, and then Rasmus Højlund, brilliant finish. And then Højlund takes his goal very well. But those little things are just covering over cracks for United at the moment. If it seems that way, anyway, what do you think?
Yeah, and you know what the ironic thing is, right? They're definitely covering over the cracks because it's the issue with Manchester United when they gain victories or scrape a draw. It's always moments.
Yes.
It's never I never look at United match and think, oh, they played well.
It's not
always,
domination.
like that game. Yeah, always like, they were lucky to get that victory, and it's funny because I've always had that feeling for like for a couple of months now, where it's like, oh, they were lucky to get that victory, rather than, oh, you know what, you deserve that victory. But as you said, it was dominance. And the ironic thing is, I don't even think Ten Hag is a bad coach as much. I just think United just isn't for him. Because I look at the work he did at Ajax and I said, well, looking at what he's done at Ajax, you can't say he's a bad coach. It's just unfortunately at United, the job there and what he's required to do there is just too big for him.
Massive.
And I think he needs to leave and just reset with another team where he can kind of just start again, because I don't think he's a bad coach, but obviously, like I said, because he's been there so long, it's going to really, really damage his reputation.
Yeah.
Because you've been there for so long and haven't been able to make a change or an implement or show what you're about. I can understand, like, for instance, when Potter was at Chelsea, for instance, you could argue he wasn't given enough time. There's managers you could say, well, the tenure was bad, but they weren't given enough time to kind of like flesh things out and obviously start making it implement. Whereas Ten Hag is the opposite. You say, hold on, you've had more than enough time.
and money as well.
It's getting worse.
Yeah.
And money too. You've been able to pick your players, and it's getting worse. So then I'm like, he needs to leave for his own sake, because it's really, really damning on his reputation. Because people can't fall back and say he didn't have enough time. Because at least as Moyes, as he was, people always use the argument, well, he wasn't given enough time at United, even though it wasn't good enough. Whereas Ten Hag, that excuse will never fly with him, because you've had more than enough time and resources and backing to try and do what it is you're expected to do.
Yeah, it's a fair point, and I think part of me thinks, why doesn't Ten Hag? He won't do this obviously for two reasons. He's getting money from United and pride and whatever else. But walk away.
Yeah.
Walk away, because you would probably be looked at and regarded with more respect by doing that than leading United down this dark hole, and you get sacked eventually anyway. And in any job, it doesn't matter if it's football or you're working in, I don't know, Sainsbury's or whatever, a sack looks, walking away from a job looks better than getting a sacking on your CV.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So I just don't understand it. I think it's almost like delaying the inevitable. Like we know he's going to get sacked at some point. 3-4 results where it's back-to-back defeats, they're going to sack him, and they'll just put Van Nistelrooy in charge for the remaining part of that season.
I think he'll come in the December period, and the reason why December, January, the reason I think happened there is because the games come thick and fast. Where you're playing like every 2-3 days. Now it's like, as you said, you can lose a match and then you kind of have like a week to
it's true.
Take a breather.
True.
So obviously it kind of delays it, but obviously when it comes to that period, if he's still there and the games are coming thick and fast, it's like it's quick in everyone's memory, because obviously if he loses a game badly, the fans are up in raw. Yeah. And then there's 2 days again, 2-3 days again you need to play. That hasn't simmered down. And when that continues to build and build, the board has to look and say, hey, we can't continue this because these fans. Yeah.
And don't forget, the winter window's open then, so they're probably going to try and bring someone in, or they might try and sign 1 or 2 players. And if he isn't the guy to take them forward, if he's not going to be the manager that's going to be there come next season after that, then let's not plan our recruitment strategy around him. Let's either leave him out, and we'll just put Ruud in there, and all the people that are above Ruud Van Nistelrooy will make those decisions for the new manager in the summer. But if he's not going to be there, we don't want him around the table. We may as well go now. So I agree. I think those games, when they come thick and fast as well, and you've got like a game on the Wednesday, then you've got a game on the Saturday or the Sunday, and then and these are all league games as well, because don't forget, I'm sure there's still like a European break in the European competitions.
So in that time there is a European break, so it's all league games.
It's all league games, domestic trophies as well. If you get knocked out one of them early, and then you're losing in the Premier League, of course it's going to look bad. It's going to look mad. So bring Kojo back in. I think he's back with us. I think.
Yes, I'm here.
You here?
Yeah, I'm here. Camera's moving a bit fugazi, but I'm here. Don't worry.
All right, cool. I'm just making sure you're there. But yeah, we're just wrapping up on United, so we'll give you the final thoughts. We've kind of tried to address obviously Ten Hag. We reckon Ten Hag's busy period in November, December will be the time that ultimately might see him get sacked, because obviously you're talking about Premier League games there, not just the European competitions take their break in the winter period, so it'd just be league games thick and fast. He has to get results. If he doesn't, potentially Van Nistelrooy for the interim, and then you might get a new permanent manager in the summer.
So I in the main night group chat of mine, I have given him a deadline of the next it was now the next 10 games, it was 11 games, so he beat Brentford, well done. And then move on to Fenerbahce. If Mourinho dunks in you, the lights will be bright once again, and then we go from there. Because, and the only reason I've done this is because I've been told that he can win the next 11 out of 11. So, I'm just putting pressure on. By the way, do you guys know who the 11th game is?
Isn't like Arsenal? It's Arsenal, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So
that day's going to be a deadly day.
Kojo going to leave the WhatsApp group that day, I'm telling you. Oh my gosh.
Man to leave. If Man United lose, do you know who I am? Gosh. I think that it's a confidence builder, especially for someone like Højlund as well. That's the big thing that I've been trying to get Ten Hag to get, is you've got a confidence build some of these players. Give them the platform to express themselves. So if Xerxes not working, give Højlund a chance. If Højlund's not working, can you maybe do 2? Can you maybe get them as a 2 up front? Can you get them as 1 behind? Bruno Fernandes is suspended for the Europa League game. So how are you going to deal with that? Do you play both of them? Do you play as number 10? All these questions. I'm watching him very, very carefully. You know that meme of Sting? You know that meme of Sting in the rafters at WCW? That's me right now. I'm watching him with all intent. If fumble one, and you'll see me. I promise you.
I don't see 11 wins. I'll be honest. I don't. But stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened.
That's the criteria, bro. That's the criteria. As unrealistic as it is, that's the criteria. Do it or get out.
No, I agree, Kojo. Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan.
Yeah, I say stick to the plan as well. I want you to stick to the plan. Trust me.
I know Basil does. Don't worry.
Yeah. Let's wrap up quickly. Let's go through the rest of the games very quickly. So Tottenham beat West Ham 4-1, really deserving. Well, West Ham collapsed after the halftime whistle. I don't know what happened there with them, but they just allowed Tottenham free reign, man. Free reign. Basuma, Son.
Lopetegui hasn't got a clue what he's doing there,
Yeah.
and it's bad because usually, like I said, you can see a manager come in and say, "I can understand what he's trying to do," and you can see small successes and say, "You know what? It'll work over time." At West Ham, I have zero idea how it's going to work. Defensively, they're so bad, and he even sets them up so bad defensively too. And they sign players too to actually back him. So there's no excuses as to why West Ham are so bad under Lopetegui.
It's that high line though. That when I remember when we played.
But that's what I'm saying. This is why honestly, I hate managers like this. It's your undoing, and you're still persisting with it. And for me, it's like, if you're gonna play a high line, have the right personnel to play a high line. Make sure one, people can defend and have good awareness, and two, they have pace for recovery. Those are the three things you need to play a high line. If your players do not have it, stop playing a high line.
Stop it. And even the Kudus red card was mental. I didn't see that bit. I turned the game off, but yeah, that was, I don't know what happened there. I don't know what went through his mind.
I didn't even know he had a red card until I saw Match of the Day.
yeah, it was mental. So he now misses what will be a crucial period for West Ham as well. But Fulham, Aston Villa, again, another fiery game, 2 red cards. Lots of yellow cards in this game, actually. Morgan Rogers on form again. Ollie Watkins on form again for Aston Villa. 3-1. Keeps him in the Champions League places on 17 points. Really good win for Villa. Brighton, Newcastle. Kojo, I'm going to come to you for this one. Brighton, if you're there. Brighton. Newcastle in a bit of trouble. I know they're 9th in the league. 3 wins, but they look like they're on this weird sort of Champions League hangover. That's where I can sum it up. Champions League hangover seems to be in full effect right now.
I think Newcastle, and especially a certain manager, got too big for their boots.
Yep.
And I understand having confidence. Absolutely, you guys did very well in previous season. But I think it's been a knock on their confidence to see that almost like they thought. I think there's an idea around this. I'll phrase it like this: there's an idea that when they got the money and they bought the players and they did this and they did that, there'll be a level of consistency that they're looking for. And when it first started, it was great. Eddie Howe got them into Europe. They were doing this and doing that. I think the end of last season has rocked them because they were celebrating, thinking that they went to Europe, and then it was taken away from them by us. So I think there was an idea that they'll be okay, but they're not okay. Not by a long shot.
Alexander Isak has kind of gone on a bit of a cold one at the moment. He's got 1 goal this season. I think 1 assist so far in the league. I think he was out injured for a bit, I think, as well.
Yeah, this was his first game. I think he was injured for maybe the last 2 or 3 games. So
okay.
This was his first game back.
Let him off.
So that's why I let him off, yeah. But he did have a 1-on-1 chance that he did miss in the game.
Yeah. But they've still got a good squad. I'm looking at it here. Tonali, Guimaraes, Joel Linton in midfield, Jacob Murphy, Isak, Anthony Gordon. I mean, I was saying to Basil Kojo before we started coming on the live here that I'd done a match preview, and one of the things I said was Danny Welbeck will be a problem for Newcastle.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, yeah.
I'll send you the video. I'll send you a link to it. But yeah, Danny Welbeck, Ferguson, I feel like with Brighton, again, they're on that cusp of, you can't really decide which way they're going to be. Are they going to be one of those teams that push for the Conference League or Europa League, or are they one of those teams that are just going to be like mid-table and sit there and they're just comfortable mid-table? I can't really decide on them. So it's a tough one, Basil.
I think they're more comfortable mid-table because I think ultimately it boils down to the fact that they need to do something to kind of up their profile and finances because I don't think they have the finances to go out and buy players because they're still doing we buy the cheap players from South America or these places and try and build them up and sell them. But at some point, you need to get past being a selling club in terms of buying players for huge profits and start to be a building club where, okay, we're now buying players to try and build to take us to the next level. And I think that's Brighton's issue. They've kind of bought those players as a selling club to sell. They've helped them because obviously they're proving good, but then obviously they're having to do it again. And at some point, you need to break that mold and say, we need to stop being a selling club or a building club. And I think until they change their mentality, they're comfortable being mid-table. And yeah, and then I also make this last comment too. You see, they're all making an uproar about hiring Tuchel. Why not Eddie Howe? There you go. There you go.
If you haven't already, check out our video on that. It's a good listen, good watch as well. But yeah, I was going to think there was a game yesterday. What was the game yesterday? Obviously, Everton beat Ipswich, which was a given. They were 2-1, which is crazy odds.
City was. Oh, Forest Palace.
Forest Palace. I watched it. I can't believe I can't even remember this game. Yeah, it was a weird game because there wasn't much entertainment in it, but it was a howler from Henderson. Actually, let's be honest, it was a howler of a goalkeeper mistake by Henderson. Chris Wood's again on form. I feel like Crystal Palace are again another team very much like West Ham that are in some serious trouble. Serious. There's 18th at the moment. They're still without a win this season. They've conceded 11, scored 5. They're on 3 points. Let's have a look at their running now. So they've got Villa in the cup. Then they've got Wolves, massive game. Fulham, Villa again, Newcastle, Ipswich, Man City, Palace, Arsenal, Bournemouth, Southampton, and then they got Chelsea on the 4th of January. That's a mad run of games. They got to pick up some points, surely. They got to pick up some points there.
So, losing Olise and then signing Nketiah. I don't know if I should go past that, to be honest. I don't feel this.
Wait. Can I also Coach? Can I also say something to on top of that? Because remember all these stupid Arsenal fans, right? And I have to say stupid. When we were complaining, oh, Eddie's worth more than the. Remember at the time?
Yeah, you did say.
What Marseille were offering.
Was it 35? It was 30 million or something.
And I said, listen, even if they offer 17, take it. And they'll say, no, he's worth more, blah, blah, blah. He's worth 40, blah, blah, blah. How much have Palace spent on him? And what's he done so far? That was one of the biggest robberies in football. Arsenal getting as much money for the Nketiah, considering what he's done for the club. And there you go. You're
number 14. You should have gone for 14. But yeah, no, it was
legendary 14.
I watched him yesterday and I can see what he's doing because he's dropping into that space in midfield. But he's just not, for me, I wouldn't even have him as a striker. I'll be honest. I don't think he's a good enough striker to be playing number one at a club, playing, like a regular starter, first choice as a striker. You can see a lot of frustration in that attacking players from Palace's point of view. I think Elise's massive loss for them. I wasn't sure why Adam Water was on the bench. I think he should have been in that game. Maybe he's coming back from an injury. I'm not sure, but yeah, they just looked out of sorts yesterday. And Forest played really well. I like Alanga. I like Hudson-Odoi. I like Yates in the midfield. Gibbs, even he was suspended, so he wasn't even on it. He wasn't there yesterday, but he's a good player.
The ironic thing is this. I've always said I would have preferred to have had Morgan Gibbs-White at Arsenal. Marina, and he was the one that was called for. And I think he's so underrated. People don't. Maybe it's because he plays for Forest. His performances, regardless of club, are up there. Like he can do everything. He can create. He can score goals.
Yeah.
He can put in a shift in midfield. He's a good passer of the ball. For me, he has everything you want in a midfielder. For me, he's an old school midfielder. He has everything you want. He can defend, attack,
drive forward,
control when he wants to, pass, drive forward with the ball. He's a threat. And for me, I'm just surprised that no one is actually.
He'll get a big move.
Look at him. 100%. I think a year or two, but he was the one I wanted at Arsenal because I'm like, he offers that versatility where if Verdegaard's injured, he can play there and create things. If you need him to sit back and maybe play alongside Rice, he can do that job there.
Yeah.
So it offers you versatility in midfield, which is why I wanted him at Arsenal.
Yeah, no, it's a good shout there. Good shout. Yeah, I think that's it, man. I think we've done enough. I think we probably missed out one or two fixtures, but I think we missed out Leicester.
City, but we missed out City, but City boring. So
I don't like talking about those corrupt people over there. But no, one game we did miss, which was obviously entertaining, was Leicester. Southampton. I think Southampton were winning 2-0. I think I'm sure they were, and then they came back and lost 3-2. Another team, it was Cameron Archer, Joe Aribo, Boanate came back and scored for Leicester. Vardy with the penalty, and then Jordan Ayew at the very end, at the death 98 minutes, scored the winning goal for them. So again, Southampton, another team looking well out of their depth so far this season. 19th in the league. No wins at all this season. But Kojo, Basil, thank you very much for joining. As always, pleasure.
Anytime.
You know the vibes already. Hopefully we can get through.
Hopefully by the time we do the next pod, this multiverse we're living in will go back to normality. Chelsea, Arsenal victories, and United.
Yeah, of course. I was just about to say that. I mean, we got Newcastle, I think, before the Arsenal Liverpool game on Sunday. So hopefully, me and Basil are sat here happy. Obviously, and you, Kojo, as well. We want United to get little 1.3 points if you can.
No, I don't believe that.
No. Listen, if you to be fair, I need a draw in the Arsenal Liverpool game. I'll be honest, I need a draw there to keep the gap close. But no, go on, Kojo.
No.
I thought you had some final words, man. I thought you.
I'm waiting to see what Basil says next, because apparently the multiverse has changed again. Apparently, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I hope you get dunked on next week. Serious dunking.
And on that note, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and if you're on the audio version, again, make sure you hit that notification bell so you do not miss an episode. And until next time, we'll be back soon, man. Enjoy the rest of the week.